Okay, guys, we're live and late. Sorry, we're late. Technical difficulties as usual. The Gremlins were in over the weekend.
As always.
As always,
we've done a renovation and moved things about, but you won't notice that from here. But anyway, we're here.
No.
Live and loud.
Live and loud. Aye, so it's Sandra, and we're joined by Mark as well. Mark's guesting from the Rangers Journal for us tonight, stepped in at the last minute. So thanks for joining us, Mark.
Delighted.
Delighted. Hi there, pleased to meet you.
Good night.
Oh, why?
Si, do you want to take it away, mate?
I'm just laughing a minute. It was 15 in or 2 minutes, and I'm out of here.
I know.
Just welcome along to the Cheers TV live show, guys. This will be the last live show of the season, other than an emergency one if we get a manager. We've only been waiting 8 weeks, 9 weeks, 10 weeks, and I think what we'll just do tonight is a quick chat about the game, and I think now Steven Gerrard is now the favourite for the job, but unless that's changed in the last hour. And the big topic of the night, I think, should be how, in God's name, was that not a goal at the weekend? Because the ball was clearly over the line, and why have Rangers not done more about it? That's my opinion, guys, but if you want to chat about other stuff, let me know.
Oh. Mark, what's your thoughts on it? First of all, you want to have a wee think about the game?
The game was in it 2-0. I think the game's gone. I think there's an argument that Bashiri also pulls Raskin back, so why did I not look at a penalty? But I think the answer's in 2 words in it, and it's Nick Walsh, to be honest. I think that's ultimately the answer. He's not been the first time this year. His penalty gives against Dundee the other night's a disgrace, but I think it's only if you get a result or a bad decision against Celtic that it happens. I think that's the upshot with Scottish football.
Yeah, I think for me, just the outside world looking in, I always kind of do see whenever I make a big decision in life, I always think about how would that be received from the outside world if I was to do this. How would this affect people, and what would people have an opinion on it? And if I think people would be okay with it, I usually go ahead with it. Just put my business head on, being honest. But if you look at other leagues from around the world, if somebody from the top German league, English, Spain, whatever it's going to be, look at that, they're just going to laugh at us. Go, what they doing? It's embarrassing. It just shows us up in its tin pot, and the fact that they had actually an opportunity to change it. What's the point in VAR if it's not to fix clear and obvious errors? What's the point in that?
So let's deal with the facts of the matter, right? The facts are that we don't have goal line technology for league games, but we have it for cup games. So that sounds right away like penny pinching. But the biggest issue that everybody that I've seen, and this includes ex-referees, media pundits from all over, is sometimes what you need to do is use common sense. You can see the ball's clearly on the line. Why did they not stop it for a few minutes and check?
Yeah. I think the ball hits the net, does it? No. Actually,
It hits the net, yeah.
It looks like it hits the net and it's getting kicked back out the way. But when I look at the different angles on it, none of the angles look as if the ball was on the line. And there was a good point made there as well. If you're saying there was a push on Raskin, then you stop for the penalty, but then you can do the check. But to just play it on and have us run up the park and score, what would have happened if that had been a game where one of the two teams desperately needed to win?
Aye.
I think that one of the things for me is I believe if it was the game was televised, there'd have been more VAR cameras as well, and you'd have a different angle. But because the game wasn't televised, they went with a minimal amount of. I think Rangers and Celtic normally have 6 or 8, and other clubs only have 4. So I think that's an issue.
But you think that what the VAR was checked and they still came back with the same answer?
And again, my biggest issue, right, this is what happened in the League Cup final. How quickly did they make the decision? That's where my gripe comes in.
I'll be honest. I never saw it live. Si, I was doing it. I was doing St Jordan at his new shop buddies doing in Cardinal.
Socialising, were you?
I know you were going to chip in with that one.
Aye, so I was down there seeing him at the time it happened. Then I just got a message just saying "dirty corrupt bees," and I was like, "What have I missed?" And I knew I'd see when I realised the time I knew I'd missed something ridiculous has happened. And it's mental. Alex Kelly's just here. We're all John Brown.
Aye, that's what I was going to say. I think the whole thing about John Brown is as well. After the way that Patrick Stewart's made a lot of boo-boos in the last few months, and he's lost all the confidence in the fans, they've got to back Bomber on this one, because if they don't, and he doesn't get back on the Rangers team next year, I will just get him on here. If you don't back him, I just think that You're accepting the fact that it was an honest mistake, and I think the club's got to back him on this.
Yeah, I'm with that as well. I mean, see if there's any repercussions for him on a personal level. This that, you know, if he loses his job as an ambassador, I think that's an absolute joke.
I know.
Do you know?
No, he's saying what everybody else was shouting.
Aye. Yep. And he's one of us at the end of the day.
Everyone of us that's seen it was shouting the same thing. And he's paid as a ex-Rangers player, a legend, but he's also paid because people know he's a Rangers fan.
Yeah.
So that's why he shouts it. He's right what he's saying.
Aye, it's just beggars belief. It's like the whole thing about VARs. It was brought out to the whole thing about video assistant referees is they were brought out to help referees that they made a mistake. We've seen instances before where the wrong guy's been sent off. We've seen instances before. Thierry Henry against Ireland, for example, where he's handballed the ball in the box and he's knocked Ireland out the World Cup. Boo-hoo, right? But anyway, things like that have happened in the past. Frank Lampard's goal against Germany years ago, that, you know, was clear. That's the reason why they were all calling. They weren't calling it because the guy was that offside. Do you know? Yeah. They weren't bringing it out. It's the boys over the line. Now imagine there was something to play for on Saturday.
I know.
I mean, back to what you said, Ryan, right? What was the point of having VAR the weekend?
What was the point?
The biggest decision in the game, they missed it. What's the point of having VAR? What's the point of spending all that money if you miss the only talking point in the game, you miss it?
Yeah. Here's one as well. I always talk about Nick Walsh, the VAR officials in Tannadice. He said after Diamandi alleged slap in the face, which got overturned as well. But why has it got to the stage where it needs to be overturned? There's 5 guys refereeing the game as well, and they're all getting it wrong.
I know.
Aye.
I know. But they want to go on the refereeing course again. You know what I mean?
Well, the problem here is that what John Brown's alluding to, and a lot of Rangers websites are alluding to, and I'm personally alluding to, is there's more to it than that. This referee has an issue with Rangers, and it's consistently. Not just bad decisions, it's decisions that every single outlet has highlighted as wrong. If you make that many mistakes at your work, you wouldn't be in your position.
Yeah, no, you'd be sacked.
But Brian, mate, did you see any of the stats available at the end of the season?
Celtic, so many red cards and fouls and the stats.
I think none.
Yeah, it's almost upside down the way it is. I think it's like 10 fouls per card. And things like that, whereas I think we're 3 fouls per card. It's just like you're just looking at it going,
it's incredible.
Are we paranoid?
I'm not paranoid, mate. If you watch the last, I'll go to the last 2 or 3 Old Firms. Callum McGregor's had about 15 fouls each game, and I think he's received 1 card in the 90th minute.
Yeah, that's right.
He's getting to dictate the games the way Scott Brown did years previous. And they're getting away with it, but then Bomber comes out and says, well, I think it's corrupt, and then, big bad Rangers, and you can't say that, and you can't do this, and...
A big outcry.
But the problem with that is, Mark,
terrible.
Sorry for interrupting you, mate, right? The problem with this is if Rangers don't fully back him, then you can't say it. That's the problem, because if he's going to lose his job, then the other guys are going to go, you can't say that. So that's why Rangers need to back him. Then
at times you're wanting a big Dave King statement, aren't you? I'm going to back John Brown, and I think everybody seems to shy away. And Patrick Stewart, you said it, he's no covered his own glory recently. Had to go to fans and done this. What's his take on the whole takeover? Is he staying? Where does he lie with this as well? Is that another one that's like the 6 players we lost today? Is it going to be another full backroom, sort of a media shuffle and everything else? But they need to back the club.
I know.
So as it's buying season tickets, as it's buying strips, it's us that's doing this. When do we get our say? We just roll over and accept it and accept it and accept it.
Do we get a say?
Well, true. We don't.
If they accept it, then for me, then the Rangers PR department is default. There's no point in having a PR department that doesn't have any relations with the public. I mean, there's even an argument that it was such a bad decision that Barry Ferguson could have took his players off the park. The ball is over the line, the ball's in the net, it's a goal. Everywhere in the world they say it's a goal, and this one referee has refused to accept that.
Yeah.
That's the level you're looking at.
It's also magnitude in it by they score within 30 seconds.
Aye.
Which makes it worse, isn't it? Because you feel it's a double hit. Because
all that does is create an opportunity, though, Mark, to fix it. Though the boys,
yes.
The boys went out to play quickly. So happens the boys went out to play via our goal line, but the boys out to play. So it's not as if the game's ran on for 5 or 10 minutes, and wait a minute, we need to pull this way back because we made a catastrophic, error. 30 seconds, like, listen, you're not getting that goal, so go to Rangers, get the ball back in the middle, start again, 2-0.
Yeah.
And back to what I was saying about when you don't have any defence, when you don't have a proper PR right. For an example, Europa Cup final takes place tomorrow night. And one of the reasons that Man United's in it, they were a fantastic team and deserved to win in Bilbao. However, one of the reasons was that the penalty incident was quite similar to the Rangers penalty incident. They get in a favour. What did we say about ours?
I know, what did
To
we
this
get
day,
your
we've hardly
favour?
said anything about it. There's been no fight back. That's how easy it is to pull one air Rangers.
Arguably, it was worse.
I
To
would
be
say it
honest.
was worse, but that's the point I'm making. But
Aye.
the English media wouldn't accept that. They wouldn't
That
accept
happened.
that decision against an English club. They simply, the English FA and the media would back Man United up. They would never have allowed that to happen. I don't believe that in a minute. And then at the
Mourinho did
weekend,
say it, didn't
everybody.
he, after the Fenerbahce
Aye.
game.
And back to what I'm saying, Marino said it, and back to what I'm saying with the game at the weekend, everybody outside the Rangers thinks it's funny. The reason I think it's funny is because Celtic dictates Scottish football. John
And they're
Hughes
the-
came out and said what we all think.
Well, the thing with it is that Ferguson came right in at the start and he said they were too nice. Right, off the park and on the park were too nice. So the fact that, see, as soon as that happened, Tavernier shouted right up to the referee, oh, this isn't it,
No,
do you know, but
there's no
he does.
fight. There's no
He
fight.
doesn't do anything with that. And then
Raskin
the
is the only one.
The other thing as well, sorry, Raskin celebrates. I seen a photo of that. I think it was Alex Kelly sent me it. He did celebrate it, but it's only blinking a second when he realises he's not getting it. But Barry Ferguson as well here. Now I'm a big fan of Barry as a person. I like him, but he knows he's not getting the manager's job. He's got nothing to lose with coming out and saying exactly
What do you think?
what he thinks.
Aye.
He turned around and says, "I don't want to get myself into trouble." What trouble? He's about to be relieved of his position.
Yeah, so tough one. Anything more to say about the actual game itself?
It wasn't the greatest of games.
Story of our season, wasn't it?
That's that.
It was the epitome and the absolute story of our season. Doing all right. Referee doesn't make the right substitutions at the right time to equalise.
I mean, Hibs done the right thing. Hibs done what you would if you're the manager of any football team, is you play the whistle and you go up with part-time score. I don't blame Hibs for that. I blame the referee.
Yeah, that's it.
Another day of missed chances, wasn't it, as well? Their goalie's got another man of the match performance. How many times have we said that this season? Aye.
Great game.
You know.
Yeah. And Big Butland has never been the same since we've spoken about
I
the
know,
England
I know.
call-up. All right, no, sorry, the alleged
Alleged.
possible call-up
Mhm.
that affected them. So I'm glad the season's over.
So am I, very
I feel
fun.
sorry for the supporters and all that are paying all that money to see a game of football and the incorrect score takes place because of what we're told is incompetence. But people are still asked to pay the full price for it. And another thing that Rangers, when I've talked about the Rangers media side there, is they cut their allocation again. These teams will cut their allocation and then give a big allocation when they're struggling. We should be punishing these teams back.
Yeah, I think it was about half the stand, wasn't it? Top and bottom tier.
Mm-hmm.
It was actually Hibs that caused the issue the last time. We remember the 5 each game when they cut the allocation after they were having 2 stands and all that. People forget that. They all go, we didn't want Celtic in and we didn't want to get in at Parkhead. But it actually started with Hibs. In the 5 each game a few years ago under Lennon, I think Jimmy Nicholl was your manager at the time.
Right. But
That's
as I've
when
said,
it happened.
These teams where they kind of do that, people forget, right? Just probably Celtic would be in the same position as us. I don't know, but don't
Yeah.
know their supporters.
Yeah.
But what I will say is, how are you supposed to run a supporters bus? I think the Rangers, Parkhead, most Rangers sports clubs would have got 1 or 2 tickets maximum. How are you meant to run a bus? How are you meant to run buses to Easter Road?
Well, we're an A-rated club sign. We get 1, so there's only A+ above us, and we get 1. I think it went to Gold My Cheers members, the majority of it. Most of the bus guys are savvy enough that they run a kind of area bus. We pair up with Gourock, Greenock, Larks and stuff like that. So we run a bus basically from Inverclyde kind of area.
But that'll be getting harder.
Aye.
Aye, because it is getting harder to fill the buses, especially when the team's not doing so good. Because there's folk that just aren't interested in going. You know, it's there.
It's a shame, but for the younger generation, where they don't know the Rangers that we know.
The other thing as well,
Aye.
there's a good argument as well as football's all about habit. See, when you're used to going to away games, you go every week and then you don't get a ticket for a couple of games because you can't get a ticket. Then you don't go. And that would affect every football fan.
I know.
But you just say, I'll just watch in the pub. So that's what I'm saying, that you should be looking at a way of doing something back to these teams if that's what they're going to deal with things.
Hearts are a prime example. So I think you get 60 on 32, sits in my head. Hearts are a disgrace, that allocation. And it's not just us, they're doing it to the other side of the city as well. But, you know, it's nonsense, absolutely nonsense. Football's all about fans and creating atmospheres and spectacle. And as much as we enjoy it, players enjoy it as well. That's why players want to play professional football in this country. They say, like, want to go to Ibrox, or want to go to... They love the atmospheres these players. They don't want to be walking out to half-empty stadiums with sponsors all over the seats and stuff. That's no real football.
Here's an easy solution for it, right? I'm not trying to be I know the answers to everything, right? But here's an easy solution. See the SFA delegates, send them to Germany for a month and watch how German football and the three levels. Even the Hamburg just get promoted, right? But you look at the different levels of leagues in Germany, and all their football clubs treat their fans with much more respect and with an adult approach, and it's a better game day experience. Send them to Germany and let them see how football should be for fans.
Yeah.
Their tickets are very well priced as well. It's
And
no...
trains.
I think if you buy a match ticket, do you not get your free travel, or you get travel to your train or whatever's free with your match ticket?
You do.
And it's like €30 for Bayern v Dortmund, where we're wanting 50, 60 quid for Rangers v fucking Kilmarnock. You know what I mean?
We didn't get through my jails.
So the whole thing, they could, at the 49er deal, what we believe is about 95% of it. Well, right. When these guys come in, they should be looking to get Scottish football revamped. Shall we say? I just think at times it's a laughing stock. When you see those refereeing decisions that have happened to Rangers over the last 2 years, some of them are absolutely farcical. The way the fans are treated is a disgrace. TV times, a disgrace. And then we're talking about now 600 tickets for a support like Rangers. I would rather, I know it will happen, I would rather Rangers said we're not taking 600 tickets, we don't want to support these. And do something where you say to every Rangers bar, we're going to try and promote every Rangers bar in the world, fill the Rangers bars up and look after our supporters clubs, because these teams don't deserve a penny for your support.
Yeah. So a lot of guys have boycotted it since 2012-13, where they all voted to send us to the third division. So there's loads of guys that have just said they're not putting a penny into Scottish football.
How we're looking for comments, I see them coming in, but I've not got specs on them.
Aye, so this Thomas McGee's taking us onto our next subject. Probably best thing is Gerrard being announced. Alex Kelly still waxing lyrical about Frank Lampard. I think he will still be doing that until
he's got a lot of he put a fiver on it today.
Did he? They're no sleeping night now. He's moaning about the bookies here actually as well, that Millie's a Rangers punter said bet 365 if we go 2-0 up they get an early pay it. So that's it.
So what's the update on it, guys? I don't do the betting, right? But has it changed in the last couple of years? Or who's the favourite just now? Is it Gerrard?
It was still 1-7 on or something for Gerrard the last time I seen it.
I'll have a look just now. They closed the betting.
I don't gamble, so is that a good 1-7? I don't go to bookies.
You need to put £7 on to win £1.
Oh.
I'll just check up with the roofies.
They're basically saying they're convinced he's going to get the job in.
But basically that's his odds on.
Aye, sorry, I'm a great believer. A guy like Gerrard would have ruled himself out now if he wasn't interested.
Was there no thing saying that he couldn't work here because he was in Dubai working through tax reasons? He couldn't work here after summer. That's right, aye.
That was mentioned on a pod that was covered, wasn't it, Ryan, as well? That it's something to do with tax and it was up to September or something.
But it's for Mitch, it's not exactly the most reliable source.
Right, okay. Right, okay.
You know what I mean?
But the one thing I will say with that, right, see this, the 49ers deal, that's been going on for a long, long time and probably longer than anybody fans realise, right? And Steven Gerrard will have the best legal team you can imagine as well, right? He would know all this stuff would be covered if they're looking at him as a manager. I do believe there was 26 candidates originally. Surely now, by the way the speed it's moving at, I wouldn't be surprised actually that I was thinking the right bit. I wouldn't be surprised in the next 2 or 3 days the manager's announced the season's over anyway.
I think for a PR stunt, if they win a treble on Saturday at 5 o'clock, you announce it at 6 and take all the focus off them.
I agree with you there.
I'm happy with that, as long as the guy knows he knew he's got the job, because there's 5 players have been asked to leave today. You need to get prepared for next season.
No, somebody's not renewing them. I don't know. Is that right, Ryan? Somebody's releasing them, so somebody's saying you're not getting a deal or whatever.
Aye, we'll come on to the players getting out there. I'll get you the names.
The point I'm trying to make, just say it was Gerrard, right? There's no way in the world if Gerrard knows he's going to get the job, he's going to be happy with the players leaving if he wanted to keep them. So there must have somebody calling shots behind the scenes, and it's not Barry Ferguson because he's been relieved.
Barry did say, didn't he? He was not involved with any conversations going forward. So I agree. I think they've looked at it. Maybe a couple of no-brainers in that, with injuries and game time in various bits and pieces, maybe some high earners. And I think that work's already done. It's just a matter of when we're going to announce it.
I think it's already done. It's just just a matter of time.
I think also there's only if it's not done, it must be down to 2 or 3 now. Can't be any more than that.
Steve, from my perspective, I've always kind of said Gerrard was in my kind of top 2 or 3 at all times. Whether I was kind of liking the Ancelotti thing for about a day or so.
What do you mean? I was doing at Ibrox Gates waiting to be Italian.
Oh, aye, that's it. Listen, the profile fits. I think there's a heavy gamble with it. Obviously, could come in and be an absolute shambles. The thing with me with Gerrard is that I've been saying to everyone that sometimes you need to lose something to realise actually what you had in the first place. So the fact that he walked away from us, and he's never come out and said a bad word about the club. I think all the conversation we made, confidential as far as the lack of backing of the board and stuff. There's obviously rumours of falling out with Dougie Park and stuff like that as well. But as far as us and the club's concerned, he's never actually come out and said he wasn't ever happy here. And I think that for me, he's probably went to Villa and he's done all right there. He's went out to Saudi Arabia and he's obviously making good money to build the foundations of a club out there. And he's probably looking back up the road going, I really miss it up there. I miss the buzz of it all. I miss the challenge of it. So I want him back.
The rumour today, guys, just I think he's all seen it. I've been busy today. The rumour today was Gerrard and Stephen Davis as the assistant.
Yeah,
I've seen that.
But I've heard a good source, I said a good source, somebody that was connected with Rangers and very friendly with Davis, text Stephen Davis and asked him a day and he said he's not any contact with Rangers. And I believe the guy for that. So I think Gerrard, but I've no idea who the assistant would be.
Here's one here for Alex. I was going to ask this and he's taking the words right in my mouth. Michael Beale. As part of the backroom stuff.
He's not my opinion on that. I've said it so many times.
I was actually speaking to Amy about that in the car.
I think if Beale comes in and you win your first 5 games, it's forgot about.
Nobody cares.
See the thing with Beale as well. I don't know if he's actually aware when Beale was manager how, I don't want to say how well he done, right, because there. See the first season that he was in charge when he took over from Gio, we actually amassed 92 points that season. And 92 points actually could pretty more often not win the league.
I can understand 100% why fans don't want him back, but fans are fickle, and that includes myself. If he came back, Steven Gerrard and Rangers got the title back this next season, and Beale was the assistant manager, fans would be quite quickly to change their tune. That's my opinion. It's not as if we had a grudge against him or a major grudge personally. I think he was just a good assistant manager and a guy that wasn't good enough to ever be a manager, and he got an opportunity that he should never had.
He wasn't accountable to anyone. There was nobody actually managing him. He wasn't held accountable. He was doing everything. He was the head scout. He was there. Coppin wasn't there. There was no head of recruitment or anything. There was nothing. There was no infrastructure at the club. It was basically Michael Beale was the guy, and the job was just too big for him.
Wasn't strong enough for it. But what happens if that was a condition with, I don't know, the condition with Gerrard? Do you know what I mean? Now, he'll pick his own backroom team. He'll not be dictated to, I would imagine.
Nah, no.
The kitman might even return. The kitman's his pal, isn't he? He went to buy him. After the controversy,
he did.
Him and Andy Firth, didn't he? Andy Firth's his goalie coach.
That's right.
I really don't know. But I think it's very close, and I would like to think it's going to be the next couple of days. But you might be right. They might know who it is. he's calling the shots, but we're going to wait and try and do like the old David Murray style PR, where you're saying that
take the glory away.
I can't really see Celtic losing the Scottish Cup, if I'm being honest. So if they want to wait and get to the PR,
The rest will not let them lose it. Don't worry about it.
well, I would also say the fact that they're far more superior than Aberdeen, to be fair. But you're right there. The decisions have been that seriously wrong this season that I'm not a gambling man, but if I was, I wouldn't be putting any money in Aberdeen, put it that way.
Imagine Gerrard's presser after his interview, after what happened at the weekend. He wouldn't throw a punch and hit the ball. He'd hit it right on the nose.
Oh, he would call it out. He would call it out, and he'd done it before. And I think
against Aberdeen's first game away. Do you remember it?
Aye, yep. Kent scored 1-0.
And he came out and he said that's a disgrace.
Aye.
Yeah. So it's, if he comes in and gives a right good speech and he gets money and he gets backed and stuff, maybe. But listen, we could be miles off it here. We don't know.
I know, we could
It
be.
could be another manager.
I don't think we're at a point where we can take a massive gamble and get to somebody like an Ancelotti or I don't think they'll get it, and I think we need to bridge that gap first. Halliday said it the other day. Listening to something Halliday was on, and he says that if Gerrard was to come back, he believes the gap when he first came in was bigger to where it is now, and it'll be easier to bridge. And I agree with him, because right now I know Fulham games, we're in games. We're winning games. Referees' decisions stops us winning cups. Referees' decisions have cost us points all over the place. And I think if you look at it the last time when Gerrard took over and some of the players we had, we were terrible. He identified we need a big centre-half, we can get Golson. Some people like him, load him. He's no keep Robin proper. Put it that way. You get another foreign manager and he's Robin proper might be alright and he's good in the tackle and he can play passes, get that to so far to fuck. Excuse my French, but he's no man. We need to. It needs fixed. Aye. I'm going to VAR.
But the thing is, when he get the other cards back, I think they're up there.
I know.
The thing is, Big Bart Dingwood had a red card 3 weeks ago for his language.
What did he?
The thing about it is, Proper will probably go to Belgium or something, right? And he will be a good player at that kind of level, with any kind of clubs or something like that. But aye, Gerrard would stand for that type of player. If he's the manager, who else do you think would be if it's
In
no
the
Gerrard?
round?
See if it's no Gerrard, I would take Sean Dykes. I know that people say that, but Ryan, what are we not at the moment? We're not hard to beat. Take away what Everton done. Ancelotti wasn't good enough for Everton. There was Lampard and people like that. Not even David Ancelotti's there. Right? He took Sean Dykes took Burnley into European football. He played 4-4-2. It might not have been 100 passes, but he was hard to beat. And balls were in the box. We scored goals. He's got a lot of traits under a Walter Smith and a Big Ek, where under my age group, we were successful. Apart from the Advocate, who had loads and loads of money, they were successful. I'm 42, I'm grown up. That was my my teams. We played 4-4-2. Sometimes McCulloch played wide. Look, we won leagues with Christian Daly at centre half because Walter Smith got the best out of it we had. And I think sometimes we've got a snobbery. Lewis Ferguson, no good enough. These players that go through Scottish football, he's no good enough. I think we look too far. Let's get Russell Martin. Russell Martin's got the worst record in Premiership history. Near enough. I think he's 1 point ahead of Derby. He's been sacked twice. I think we need to get hard to beat, go and win the battle. That's what we need for Scottish football. It might not be effective in Europe, I get that. We turn it on and I get these things, but I think if we go elsewhere and further afield, I think we're sitting in September going, Barry Ferguson's going to turn into Murty. That's my big concern. He's back every 6 months for the next 2 seasons because we're not getting it right.
Can't have that.
No, he's a very British manager, Dice. British style of football, British mentality, British everything about it's just right through it. So maybe, but I don't know, man. I think we should be aspiring to better. Like, nothing against the guy. I'm sure he's got a good calibre and stuff like that. But not for me.
I totally get that. But I remember sitting there when McLeish was going and we were bringing in Paul Le Guen, who was a Leon, and we were going to be the best team ever, and he was ultra fit and he's running ultra marathons and all that. What happened to that?
I know.
That was his biggest problem. Was when he should have been studying Scottish football, he should have been studying Rangers, and he should have been prepared. He was running the desert. If you remember, he was in the actual desert.
That's right, mate. Aye. 56 miles in the desert in the summer, can't bother me. No, me.
Charity work might be great when you're unemployed, but when you're in a position where you're going to be the manager of Rangers, you should know that when you go to Easter Road, the first 5-10 minutes they're going to hammer you with everything they've got. Pittodrie's the same. You should know what's going to happen at Celtic Park. He didn't know anything.
He'd be wishing he's back in the desert.
Aye, so you can't have that. That's why I'm in favour of it being a British style manager. I'm not completely against Lampard getting the job, but I'm in the Gerrard camp.
You know, for an absolute fact size, we're going to open our season at Pittodrie next year. Absolute certainty. That's our first game of the season next year.
Wouldn't surprise me, aye.
It's a stick on. They'll get a home game.
It'll be Tynecastle, McKinney's first game.
Tynecastle last year though, wasn't it? This season.
Aye, true. Aye,
season before it was Rugby Park.
But see,
aye, that's right. 2-1.
The big thing about it, right, is it's not just that. The European ties are going to come up soon. We need to. You can't. It doesn't matter how well advanced you think you're in football. You can't underestimate minnows when it comes to European qualifications. Well, it's happened to all the teams of Scottish football where you've thought, you don't need to worry about these levels. The new manager, whoever it is, should be in place as quickly as possible to be ready for this.
Is it 22nd of July? Is that right, roughly?
Aye, that's right. That's it.
Roughly. So you're talking 4 weeks for when you come back for pre-season, a new manager, half a squad, a rebuilding job.
If the rumours are correct, it is good friendlies have got. Right, that's a good shout. Give him a tough test. I don't like all this playing against smaller teams just so that you get the victories in. I think it's a good idea to test yourself at a high level in Europe when it comes to friendlies. But we need to get ourselves organised quick.
Look at the friendlies last year though, Silent. Olympiacos at Ibrox, Newcastle as well. I think Newcastle was McGregor's testimonial. We looked absolute. The writing was on the wall even for the pre-season friendlies last year. We looked dog shit. Like honestly, it was horrible. And even going back to the year that we went to Seville and we had West Ham at home, and you looked at it, goes like playing well. Rabbi Matondo started for us that day, and you looked at you Kent on the left and Matondo on the right. Like there's something going here. We're actually looking okay, but you see the last year was awful.
When we beat Real Madrid and it was in the main stand and it was 2 Real Madrid young boys.
Real
Madrid fans sat beside me thinking, and the name of God, what am I watching here? They were awful and it's just a pre-season friendly basically, but it's funny.
Well, see that one, that was the one that you get the ticket in the ballot. I think that's the first time we were allowed in the Ibrox after COVID, wasn't it? Yeah. And I got a ticket in the ballot and I am absolutely over the blue moon. I'm going to Ibrox. I'm going to see Rangers against Real Madrid. Howling in the Loudon. Howling, got to half time, back to the Loudon. A disgrace. An absolute disgrace to myself that day. No, I'll never forgive myself for it. Watched the second half when the pub and Rangers 1-2 when I was.
The massive thing about that game, I remember being there, me and the son actually, and we were talking to him, and Cedric Itten scored, didn't he, I'm sure, in Sakala.
Sakala was aye.
But do you know all you heard for 90 minutes was Lundstrom screaming at people for the ball because the stadium screaming for the ball, and we don't have that at the moment. I think he got it, but obviously he left quite. So Gerrard brought him in, didn't he? Then he left quite quickly after it. But going back to friendlies, remember away to Lyon in the season that we went and won, and you've got Kent with that wee stupid ponytail. I'm going, he's not keeping that all season. Remember that, mate? Oh, what? But I think we beat Lyon 3-1 or something, won that tournament over there, and it sent.
Won that cup, aye.
Put us in good stead for the season.
I would go right back to 92, 91, 92, 92. If you can't remember, the best season watching Rangers for me, and we played Marseille in a pre-season friendly, and then we went on to play them in the Champions League. If you test yourself against the best, it can backfire, aye. But I think if you get the right manager and it's the right attitude, and I've seen the rumours of the pre-season friendlies, I think they look at a good test. But we don't want to get managers coming in. We don't want to be playing any of these games when we don't have a manager.
I agree with you that it has to be done soon, very soon.
Aye.
I think there'll be a new manager very soon. Very latest the 1st of June, I think.
Guys, Alex has led us on nicely.
Away, do you know what I mean?
This is the next thing we're going to talk about, is the squad, aren't we? Going to have a wee chat about the guys that are away. 2 seconds, I'll find two there.
Just before you do that, Ryan, I'm just going to say my opinion on something here. This is back to the Patrick Stewart thing again. Liam Balogun's been an absolute credit to Rangers Football Club.
Yeah.
When he didn't play for us and he wasn't at a club, he was paying his own money to buy tickets to watch Rangers, and he's never once let our club down. I think they could have given him a better send-off than not telling him until after the game, because I think he deserved at least that, to go around Ibrox the week before, or else at Easter Road, and bow out.
A bit of recognition for what he's done.
Aye. Sometimes I think you should be able to say thanks to people, and that's one guy that deserves it.
We've got previous for this side. Look at the Hamley Lee Wallace, for example. You know, guy the captain is up through the lower leagues, and obviously Lee McCulloch was in the early days. But Lee Wallace sacrificed his career for Rangers. You know, he could have went down south or better money. He would have got umpteen caps for Scotland and stuff like that as well, and he decided he wanted to stay with us to sacrifice his professional career. And probably his earnings as well, because he maybe didn't earn as much money as he possibly could have as well. An absolute disgrace.
Rangers did release a video tonight about Bargain after his statement. Right enough, I think they've done it. They've done one for him, Tom Lawrence. They've done about Hadji, all the players that have left. They did release a video, but is it one of them? The manager was decided and he just went, it's not for me, or Rangers are going, right, you need to go. I wouldn't be surprised if he's back at pre-season, to be honest.
I really don't know. I think that's important, but I'd just like to say I would wish the guy all the best, because that's what you call an honest big professional. He was never the best player, but I'll tell you what, he wasn't the worst player.
No, scored 2 important goals for us in the way to Seville as well. So we scored the goal against Belgrade. It put us 3-0 up that night. Pretty much put the tie for us. I think he scored one in the group stages as well. Again, they had to win. I think it was when Broncos' first game as well.
I think he gave his all, didn't he? He gave his all, and for us, for that, as you always say, didn't you? If you play for the badge in the front, we'll remember him in the back, and he definitely goes with fond memories. He bought into it, didn't he? That was the thing. He wishes he was here earlier in his career, which I think he could have been a stalwart for us, to be honest. For if you'd have got him at 26, 27, I think you've got him for obviously playing now at 36, 37, you could have a centre half for 10 years. He's never let us down at all, so just can't stay fit, unfortunately.
Aye, 100%, but when you mention other players in it, Hadji, you could maybe argue he's unfairly treated a wee bit. It might suit him to go to another club. And Tom Lawrence, after his injury, he was a good signing at first, but after his injury, he never came back the same player.
Yeah, just didn't get a good run of games. So they were the three that were mentioned. Hadji, Lawrence and Balogun were there. Tierney, Casemiro and Fernandes all went back to the club as well. So that's six off the books straight away.
Ben Davies and who came back today? Ben Davies and
Davies and Dowell have came back for Birmingham.
All these players away, right? All these players are away, so they actually know who's going to be, who's in the job, and they've agreed to let all these go.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You would think that's the case, but we don't know.
I think so. So Davies, Dowell, Matondo and Cifuentes are 4 returning from loan. They've got to be a priority to get them moved on now.
Aye. I mean,
I think Birmingham are quite keen in keeping both, aren't they? I think.
Hope so.
That would suit both parties, I think. But that one, whoever the manager is, his first job is probably going to have to be to pay to do the Cortez. We're duty bound to buy Cortez. I don't know where he's going to fit in with Rangers. So that's right away, money blown.
If we play 4-3-3 though under Gerrard, which I imagine we will do because that's his preferred formation, Cortez might flourish in that. He might actually find that will suit him better.
Would you keep Davies and get rid of Proper?
I would certainly
I get rid of both of them.
I think no. The thing is for me with Ben Davies more than anything else is he's went and basically near enough been their player of the year. He's been really good for them. I know it's League One, right? I get that. But what he did manage to do was play 30 games or so in a row. Well, he didn't seem to, and Dowell, they didn't seem to get that opportunity, Rangers, whether it was injuries or they were always in and out. And I think Davies was a bit too nice as a centre half and wanted everything played in front of him a wee bit, but he gave you a left-footed balance. But I still think he's better than Proper.
Aye, well, the big thing for me with that, just to answer it a different way, is whoever gets the manager's job and whoever's in charge next season, they need to fix this once and for all. These silly injuries, players coming back not fully fit and things like that, and we need players that are available to play the best players as often as possible. And right now, all these guys that are coming in, like Danilo's never been the same player since his injury. It's too many times.
Yeah. Just got to ask them for our honest day's work. But they've obviously got 6 away. They need to get 6 back in. The 4 that I'd mentioned there, let's get them off the books as soon as we possibly can, get them away. You're then starting to look at guys that have got longer contracts. You're pointing to guys like Yilmaz, who probably hasn't made the grade. Popper hasn't made the grade. You're then looking at Bajrami as well. Signing's not really worked out. You're then looking at get them off, get new guys on. So
right, so the one I would jump in right away would be the obvious one that we've spoken about for years on this channel is Lawrence Shankland on a free. 6 or 7 grand a week, I don't know what he would want. I think that's a no-brainer for me. Knows the first choice striker, but to be a backup striker.
Yeah. I mean, you've got to look at the reasons why we've not achieved this season, and the season's gone by as well. Our European run, our European form has cost us domestically, time and time again. You know, you could point the finger that we drew 2 each with Dortmund on the Thursday night to go through to the Europa League that year. I know I always go on about that season, but it was a great one. But then we drew 2 each from Motherwell on the Sunday after being 2-0 up against them. So you need to bulk the squad up with Scottish players that are going to be there and be available, because we don't need, you know, we're good enough to a certain extent to beat the European teams that we're playing against, but we're not good enough to go out there and, like, I don't expect Shankland to go out and play 90 minutes for us in the San Siro or the Allianz in Germany. But seeing we're going to Dingwall on a Sunday, say, right, you're not playing on Thursday, but seeing Sunday, you need to be ready because we're going up to Dingwall, we need 3 points, you'll be up for that? Aye, no problem, I'll be there.
Aye, another point with that is exactly what you're saying, Ryan, is Queen's Park game should never have happened, but 20 minutes to go, half an hour to go, you're bringing a guy like Lawrence Shankland on. He knows how big an impact this is on the club and the fans, to get in stuck in amongst it and stop messing about. So that's how I think a player like that would be one of my signings, if it's a free.
It's very low risk. It bulks the European squad for as far as the homegrown players are concerned. There's a comment here for Druzy Boy saying that he's only 29, so he's actually younger than Dessers as well. He's not going to be very hard to deal with as far as wages is concerned. He'd walk over broken glass over the M8 to get to us. He's going to give you, you know, you're talking about guys that are giving honest days work and stuff like that, guys that are, you know, you look back at players like Roof, Lawrence, you know, guys that are never off a treatment table, and you'd like to think they're being honest with you, they are injured, but sometimes you wonder as well.
I think it's a no-brainer as a signing. I also seen we were linked with Josh Mullen as well for Dundee, which I think is another one that fits that bill. Yep. Young boy, 22, can play centre mid, can play right back, can play a various positions. I think he's 22, but played maybe 200, 250 maybe plus first team games, free transfer, knows the league, which I think sort of ticks these sort of boxes, to be honest. Shankland as well. I think even as a bit part player, he still scores, and that's been your biggest issue. We've got Dessers on 9 goals, and Cherny scored a few, but there's no goals really coming from elsewhere. And you know, I think a man maybe 10, 12 maybe maximum, right? You maybe I know. So
it's a hat trick at Easter Road though as well.
The thing is, Bigger Man is not playing enough games. But the other thing I was going to say is, let's not forget we've got the boy Lyle Cameron coming in, who seems to be a great prospect for the future. He's young and he's a Scottish player, so that's the kind of we're going to have to address that, obviously. But
I think he replaces Hadji, doesn't he?
Aye, we need a core of players that would. Hadji to an extent did play for the jersey, but if you're going to let Hadji go and you bring that boy's coming in anyway, that might be a good shout for that position.
Yeah. Just a call here, just an argument against Gerrard. Bakuna, Gresta, Sadiq, Polster, Hasty King, Jaria, Ojo Simpson. There's a list of names here that just didn't work out. Do you know? But it's a good argument because there's lots of signings that Gerrard made that didn't make the grade as well.
I think you can go through any manager that. I think if you put Gerrard on the left hand side and then put Beale and Van Bronckhorst and all the way back, I think they've not got a great sort of a return on signings, and that's why every year in it we want 15, 16 players because the failings of the one before. But I would go back to who was actually driving it, where was our scouting network, where was these things under Gerrard. So I think there's a lot of things. Sometimes you write players off too long. If you look at some of them, I bet they've went away and have done okay in other areas as well. But
look at that Sadiq boy.
Look at Omar Sadiq. Aye.
So that's a really good point. See what you're making. Going to go far back is, see when we signed Brian Laudrup, the biggest signing that season was actually Basil Bowley, who in my opinion at the time was the best centre half in Europe, if not the world. Walter signed him, and for half of the season, or most of the season if I remember, played him at right back, played him out of position. So all the managers get it wrong at certain times. It's how you bounce back with these things. It'll happen again with players. Sadiq is a classic example. Sadiq can't be anywhere near as bad as we all thought he was.
No.
Oh, he was Hawkins, aye. No mind that day he played at Hampden.
Dived against Aberdeen.
Mate, you thought he could take out the bloody pie stall and get a shirt put on him, mate. It was absolutely appalling, man. So bad.
For the transfer fees these guys make, then there's got to be a reason why he was on Cumbria Rangers. Do you know what I mean? But it's all back to I think the future's going to be a new style of management. The game's changed, right? And there's all this XG and sports science and stuff coming in. I think it's going to be a coaching role and a managing role separately. Whether that would suit Gerrard, I don't know. But that's the way Rangers are going to look at it. I think it's going to be a first team coach and a manager or a director of football doing a separate issue. I don't think the manager's going to have much responsibility as they used to have.
Yeah, I would say the other night side that having a manager overlooks absolutely everything. And you lose your manager. It's like losing a big piece of the puzzle. Whereas if you've got head coaches and you've got other guys, it's a wee piece of your puzzle. And I drew a comparison to Alex Ferguson at Man United, who was the manager, who basically was, the father of the club. And when he retired, man, they're totally off the grid ever since then. Maybe a Rangers comparison when we lost Walter Smith. It's the manager, as much as he's important and he oversees the club, but if you lose him and something happens, or somebody, in modern football, somebody will come and buy your manager off you and take him away if they think he's worth anything.
Well,
You've
got to extent, sorry for interrupting. To a big extent, the very same scenario when Walter Smith, we're hearing now when you hear the stories for David Murray's book, that was effectively sacked by Rangers during the 10-in-a-row season, right? That's as big an impact. When the players find out about that, they crumble.
That's him announcing he was leaving and Gaza leaving. That's what cost us that season. It wasn't done right. And
that's how big an impact he was to the club.
Yeah. But Murray was wanting European success, and Smith couldn't deliver it to him. Smith could win the league every year, but Murray just had the pound signs in his eyes, and he was willing to he wanted Rangers to win the Champions League, and he was willing to bankroll it, and ultimately look what happened.
Yeah. Anyway, where are we? Have we got comments coming in? I can't see them.
Aye, loads of comments coming. Guys just going back and forth there, talking about recruitment under Ross and Beale, looking at the contract killed us financially. I agree with that. I think they set us back about 5-6 years on that. Gerrard bought Gresden, get rid of Candace. I wouldn't necessarily agree that he get rid of Candace. Candace was offered to stay, but didn't want to fight for his place given his age at the time. They asked to move on, would someone be a first team pick?
Yeah. I quite liked Hollander. I know he seems to be getting a bit but I couldn't stay fit. But I thought Hollander was decent.
Some lucky with injuries as well, weren't he? The bad one.
Scored the 1-0, didn't he? The one Balogun played right back against Kyogo, 1-0.
Enjoyed that day. Yep. Gerrard's a total liability according to Rangers. Yep. Just going under an A-list. So
listen, it's all about opinions. That's one thing we always try to do, is even if it's something we don't agree with, give everybody their view on it.
Definitely punt bid van the SCP. Bring the boy in, Penrice. Swapping for Ross McCausland. Ross McCausland's another one. The jury's very much out on him. He's, as much as we love him, we appreciate his background and stuff like that, is he really actually cut out to make the grade at Rangers? Him,
Leon King, Robbie Fraser. I think they could all either need to go on loan again, but even when we send players out on loan, they're going to Livingston, Queen's Park. They're not going to anywhere that can affect them, like a Motherwell, or because the fans don't like us. We can look at Ryan Christie's a prime example. Went to Aberdeen, Aberdeen's best player, plays against us, you give him everything, plays against Celtic, can't play against them. But imagine us trying to play on loan to Aberdeen or Hibs. It's never happened.
To be fair, the players going to Birmingham's a good level, I'll say that, but I just don't like loans, buying loan players, and I don't like the whole loan system. I don't think that should be for the lower leagues, in my opinion. It's not something I'm keen on.
I would rather see if I could loan players out to other teams in our league and tool up the opposition. Obviously, the stipulation that they can't play against us in league and cup games. But if you
rather have reserve football.
Listen, reserve football all day long, 100%. But that's so far off the radar. They're pushing this B team initiative. They're having another go at that. They've revamped that again this year. We're no interested in it. We want to see it done a different way, and we're just not putting our money into it. The model we're going down it.
Sorry, the problem with that, is who's we?
Rangers.
No, I know it's Rangers. Who?
I know.
Who's making that decision? What happens if Steven Gerrard gets the manager and he's like, I want it.
He wants to go for it.
You get what I mean? Who's making that decision? 'Cause that's a big decision for the youth.
But it's value for money, though. So you look at the money we're basically carrying a second squad of players, and they'll all be in reasonably good wages, to keep them at us, keep them with us. And for the output for what we're getting for it, you point your finger at guys like Alex Lowry, who was meant to come through and just there, guys like Adam Devine, who kicked about the first team squad for ages, all, good boys, but when it came to the actual crunch of getting in, they never done it. They never done the Alan Hutton thing, they never done the Nathan Patterson thing, they just couldn't get it over the line.
So my problem with that would be, I would say we should be focusing on more and getting it right at the youth level, and we should be doing everything we can with Scottish football to get reserve football back. We shouldn't be looking at not having B teams and stuff like that. For the exact example you made, if you do well in Europe, you have to rely on some of these players, and if they can't come in, what do you do?
I just think Rangers have got so much to get right this season.
It's a massive job for whoever's coming in, and it's not one guy coming in, it's a team. It's a team of coaches, and it's a big change.
It's just another so much money involved with it. Like, we can't keep making all these mistakes. These Yanks are going to come in and they're going to bail us out financially, and they're going to hopefully put the money in that we need to actually get it and turn it around again. But what happens if it comes in and it's not right again? There'll just somebody else to get sacked. Then there's another 10 players out, 10 players in, contracts to get paid up. It just can't keep happening. We can't just. It kills me every time I look across the road and just see what's going on. It's like basically an open goal for them every single time. Because
the only guarantee that you could give the 49er guys is the support. The support will be first class all the times. Everything else for the club right now needs rehaul. And I say that, I mean Patrick Stewart as well. There's so many people at the club that I just don't think are fit for purpose.
Yeah. There's another comment here again. The guys using English Rangers, don't give Gerrard money. And I think he'd mentioned a wee bit further up here that he basically failed at Villa and he failed at Ettifaq. I would.
You can't give him a job and don't give him money.
I don't agree with the thing that obviously with the club that he left us, the team that he handled with him, Roncourse, got to a European final and punched well above their weight the whole way through it. The team that he then left Villa for, he went to Villa and they get relieved of his duties. Villa were in the. He wasn't the Villa manager not that long ago. They're in the quarterfinals of the Champions League this year, so he's built some sort of foundation there. And the job that he done out in Saudi Arabia, he's basically taken over the equivalent of like Motherwell in Saudi Arabia. There's clubs out there are far richer than what they've got, and I know that it sounds mental that he's spending all this money out there, but he's signing Moussa Dembele and Jack Hendry when there's teams out there signing Ronaldo and Sadio Mane and stuff like that. He went out there to basically build the foundations of a club out there, and he done all right.
I mean, I appreciate the comment, right? But what I would say is, if you're going to give Gerrard or anybody else a job, whoever gets a job, you have to give him money. That even if it's not going to be Gerrard, whoever gets that job will need money.
See, for me on the obviously handed over to Van Bronckhorst. See, Gerrard stays. I don't think you get to Seville, but you win the league.
I agree with that. I do agree with that.
But you win the league.
It's all absolute, but we really don't. Guys.
I think we were. I remember obviously the league got stopped again at Christmas. First game back, Gio away to Parkhead, signed Danilo, beat us 4-0 or something, and Gerrard just wouldn't have done that. We had a wee bit under Gerrard. I think to the tail end of his record against Celtic was relatively good. I think we had the marking in him. We sort of because I think the 1-0 game we were talking about, Hollander scores a goal, Bargain right back. I think Gerrard had COVID, wasn't he, at the game? McCrory was in goals. We just had that wee sign that we went and won games. As I say, I don't know if we'd have got to Seville, but I definitely believe we'd have won the league that year.
The big thing with Gerrard for me when it comes to Europe is I thought he made us contenders again. He got us competing away from him in stadiums that we thought this is not going to be. The days are gone for us. He made Ibrox a fortress in Europe for us, and he made us hard to beat in Scottish football. And the big thing for me was Rangers Celtic. He never treated Celtic. He never gave them too much respect, and he had the players up for it, and he had the passion for it. I do understand the argument about not bringing him back, but I just can't see past him as the best candidate in it for getting into that role where they were as a club.
It's the lowest risk out of them all. He's probably might not be the best name, but he's probably the lowest risk.
Yeah.
I still think he's got that big name. He's got to pull up players. And I think that's massive. I still think, I want to play for Gerrard, like a Rebo and a Bassey. And
I just think Rangers supporters, they're just going to remember what he walked away with us. I still think he's got the, as you say, Mark, he's plenty to pull in players.
He's got the pulling power for that, without a doubt. So would, to be fair, I would say Lampard would have a big pull for players if he came to Rangers as well.
I don't know if that's how I feel about Lampard.
I'm just going to.
I know.
Measure the two of them up. The two of them would be big pull. We need people that how many times did we sign a player, as you're saying there a minute ago? I think it was Ryan that said that they came to Rangers because I think it was Rebo saying that Gerrard. Oh, sorry, Mark. My apologies. He said that that was the reason, the Gerrard effect. So that is a big thing. We need ways of getting these players back.
Yeah. Last year he's dealer Rebo in here as well, just been relegated.
Sorry, when I'm saying back, I mean that type of player.
No, but I mean, listen, I would go. I'm going to be applying. I would try and sign him again, to be honest.
I mean, there's that's a good argument. The other guy that always gets overlooked by Rangers was Sakala. I think they shouldn't have sold him when they sold him.
No. I totally agree. We went to a strike force with no pace. We played Lammers and Cantwell and we signed all these number 10s with no pace.
Don't your thoughts on it.
Sorry, guys. Sorry.
Supposed to be a pressure.
Pass the brandy, man. Passes the brandy.
Pass the brandy.
Oh, man.
We did we? But that's back to what we were talking about, about the structure, and we don't have every manager got to come in and sort of get handed the keys to the castle and right, well, I want to play with number 10s, and then next manager comes in, well, I want to play with Woods, and you need to get rid of the number 10s. We need to try and go the way Arsenal did years ago, I think, and they go, right, this is your philosophy, this is what we're going to do, and as you say, you bring a coach in, as opposed to a manager, and everything else is still done within the back, right, I need 2 centre-halves, I need 2 wide men, right, this is your options, this is who meets the stats.
A better example of that, Mark, would be Ajax. You play the Ajax style, whoever the manager gets the role, or the coach gets the role, he's going to integrate to the style. So the players that you've got and the players that are coming up for the different levels at the club all play the same system. So I agree with that. That's a good point.
I think that's what we need to fix, and that's why I agree Gerrard is a safe pair of hands, because you can get all in while that can go on in the background. I think where if you bring somebody else in, they're still trying to understand Scottish football and they've got all the other off-field stuff sort of ongoing as such.
That's some good points here.
All right, 57 minutes, say. We had enough.
I think that. Just any comments on Mr. Ford?
No, just nothing that kind of stands out. Much appreciated all the comments, obviously.
You know what's going to happen? As soon as we go like that, we had the people at the end of the show, 59, that'll be on the news, and they'll announce their new manager.
Last minute.
I missed it.
Play this in 0.75 speed, everybody seems really drunk. Yeah. Listen, if you watch Rangers as much as we do, no wonder we take a bloody drink. It's terrible.
Well, we're on the water tonight, unfortunately.
Tito.
Aye, that's it. Yeah, but listen, the guys are commenting, massive rebuild. So.
Aye, just before we forget as well, Mark, do you want to give you guys a wee plug?
Well, obviously, me and Ryan are from the Rangers Journal, which is obviously get good content as well. But I think it's very important, like you spoke about earlier on, Si, about supporting all the associations and all the people. We're all like-minded people that want the best for our club. Obviously, we all have different opinions, and that's what makes the shows enjoyable, because you see hear these different opinions from across the board. We're not saying we're always right. Most of the time I'm wrong, to be honest, but so it'll be a totally different manager though, whatever, it'll be somebody else. But yeah, as I say, at Rangers Journal, obviously we try and do some good things. I've only recently joined as well, but I do enjoy the sort of a podcast and try to speak about my club and that we all love, I believe.
Yeah, I know. Well, you done well tonight.
No, no bother at all.
I think no matter what podcast you're from or what club you're from, part of the country you're from, all we want to see is Rangers winning. No matter what.
That's
it, right. Passion as well, and you need to cut in that language, you'll get us banned.
Yeah.
I think we're on spike 2 now.
Yeah, yellow card.
Yeah, it's all right. Nick Walsh might be the officiating. It'll just get.
Aye.
He'll miss it. BBC will blow that bit out for you. Don't worry, it's fine. Okay, we're all good.
Never happened.
And didn't happen.
All right. So plans for the pre-season side. We'll be back basically. Are you going over to Belfast?
should be. I'm booked up for I'm right now booked up for the 11th of July, but I know we're looking at doing an event the 10th of July, so I'll try and get our for that.
You going for the bonfire?
Maybe it depends when I get our. I'll try and get to Craigie Hill, but I'm also looking to try to get to Carrickfergus for the reenactment as well, which is a great day.
That's in June.
In June, aye. And we've got loads of people that watch us from Northern Ireland, and every time we go over, they come here and they ask for a wee chat, and do you want to go for a drink? And they love the channel. So it's fantastic. It's such a drink. Aye, in England as well, we get a lot of people watching up in Blackpool for the Blackpool True Blues weekend, and a big shout out to the Gallant Pioneer.
Yep, and we're after a couple of sponsors for next season as well.
Aye, 100%. Yep.
So looking for sponsors. Your logo will always be displayed every single show that we do, and we'll give you a plug as much as we can. Where possible, we'll share your social media posts as well, and we'll promote your business. But we're just looking to try and cover our overheads, guys. As much as our time is free, unfortunately, GearsTV is not free. We've got overheads that we need to meet every week and every month as well. So if anyone wants to give us any help with that, we'd love to do that.
Fantastic, guys.
All right.
Perfect. I think that's it. Aye. No, thank you very
Well,
much, guys.
hold on, here's one of our pals here, Si. Here's one of our pals here promoting our show. Thanks very much, mate. You've just helped the algorithms and our show will be showing further and wider due to your nice comment. Enjoy your band, pal. Cheery bye.
Cheery bye.
All the best.
All right.
Good night, folks.
We are the people.
Always remember,
we are the people.